So you want to buy an EcuTek tuner. Well, they're a great tuning option and it got a ton of features packed into this little guy. But what exactly is it and how does it work? Well, we're going to answer all those questions because we're going over everything you need to know about an EcuTek before you buy. Now when you get your EcuTek, it'll come in this neat little pouch. You've got your dongle here. This is the heart of the tuner. It's an OBD2 dongle. Then you plug this cable into the dongle and put the other end in your laptop. Now to get the tune to work, you have to install a license on the ECU. The ECU keeps that license. So if you want to do multiple cars, you have to use multiple licenses. But you can reuse the dongle as many times as you want. So there's two ways to get a tune. You can tune it yourself if you know how. I definitely do not, and most of us do not either. So we have a ton of tunes available on the website, and those are all custom tunes from Graham, from Boosted Performance. Some of you guys know him. He was in the vlog. We're gonna be talking about him more in this video, but we've got them for ED5, turbos, a bunch of different stuff because EcuTek is a custom tune. So it's built specifically based on your car and the parts that you have on it. So it's not an off-the-shelf tune. You're getting it specifically for your car and how it's set up right now. Now this is remote tuning, so you don't need access to a dyno, which access to a dyno isn't readily available for everybody. Plus dyno time can get pretty expensive, so this is remote tuning on the roads. You're gonna collect the data on the road and send it to the tuner. That's how the tuner is gonna make tweaks to your ECU. So let's say that you got a turbo, you put it on a BRZ, you just got your EcuTek, you're gonna tell Graham all of the information about your car, all the modifications. He's gonna make a tune based on that, a pretty stock, or not stock, a conservative tune, so it's not gonna blow up your car. You're gonna do some data log runs, which is your, based on what he tells you to do, idling, doing some pulls from third gear to X amount of miles per hour. All that data is gonna be recorded, it's gonna be sent off to him. He's gonna read it all, decode all the data, do his ECU tuning wizardry, and then he's gonna tweak and tune to get the most power out of your build. You go back and forth a couple times until it's done. Now for the Supra, the EcuTek is definitely our preferred method of tuning it. Graham made 450, 460 on a 91 tune, and then he made with like a E40 kind of blend of ethanol, he made 500 horsepower. So yeah, this thing rocks. For the FRS BRZ and 8.6, you have another tuning option, the Open Flash tablet, which was very, very popular because it's pretty affordable. It's very easy to use yourself because you have a nice user interface with the touchscreen and everything. But if you're gonna go anything farther than like basic bolt-ons like a header, intake, a catback, you're really getting limited past that point. Whereas this, you can get custom tunes. This can kind of grow with your build, especially when you add forced induction like a turbo or a supercharger. The EcuTek is gonna be way more powerful than the Open Flash. But if you're just gonna stay with like a header as your only option, as your only modification, then maybe the Open Flash would be a better deal. But I'm not gonna do a versus video on that. We can do that later in the future. If you guys wanna do a versus EcuTek versus Open Flash for the FRS BRZ and 8.6, let me know in the comment section. We can definitely do that. Now let's talk about power, because I know you guys are gonna ask, how much horsepower is it gonna add? Well, it kind of depends on what the variables of your car. Now for the Supra, we mentioned it's like 450, 460 on 91, and then with a little bit of ethanol, like an E40 blend, it was making 500. But for the FRS BRZ and 8.6, a little bit different. We got a ton of packages for that. Let's start with a stage 1 tune or stage 1 plus tune. You can see about 10 to 15 wheel horsepower increase. You get better throttle response. And you're gonna get stage 2, or not stage 2, you're gonna get 2-step launch control. So there's a bunch of other things that like fills in that torque cap as well. Now the stage 2 tune is gonna give you about 20 wheel horsepower, and then if you move up to ED5, you can see about 30 to 40 wheel horsepower increase there. Now let's get into the turbo setups and forced induction. When we had a supercharger on our FRS back in like, a long time ago, we had a Vortex supercharger running 91 octane, made 256 horsepower and 190 foot-pounds of torque. Now, when we switched to a turbo setup, we're using a BorgWarner EFR6258, 8 psi stock injectors. We upgraded the fuel pump though, and also on 91 octane. That made 287 horsepower and 250 foot-pounds. So plenty of different, both of these were tuned on EcuTek, so they're very, very versatile. You can get one and then you can build from there and keep getting retunes, and yeah, it's kind of endless with EcuTek. Now, since I was with Graham getting the Supra tuned, I was able to ask him a few questions, so let's go ahead and cut to that and see what he had to say.
Well, typically what we try to do is we try to deliver the first tune within 24 to 36 hours of them supplying their information, basically filling out the form. And that's business hours during the week, because I'm a busy guy, I got a lot of cars to tune, so I can't necessarily be there hours right after it's done, but I do my best to get to it within that time frame to send that first map over so they can go out and start logging. Then data log review, depending on our volume of business that we're doing, times of the year. Typically we try to do 1 to 2 days to get a review done and send an update back. Sometimes it's a little bit faster, sometimes it's a little bit slower. But one thing that we ensure is that very first map we send, it's perfectly safe to drive your car all the way across the country if needed. Now, if your car is misbehaving, has check engine lights, obviously you wouldn't want to drive it. And when you're on that very first map, we only want you to do the initial logs we ask for, just one set of logs, and don't go out there and hammer on the car until we get a chance to review everything for the first time. But during the process, your car remains safe to drive. But again, typically 1 to 2 days to get the first map, 1 to 2 days between updates. Depending on the car, anywhere between 3 to 5 updates for simple stuff and maybe up to 8 to 10 updates for more complex stuff. Yes, typically some modifications don't really require very much tuning or little at all, and maybe just like a data log check. Typically I do that no charge. If it's just a quick, you can go ahead and put that on, I'll let you know, you do a data log, if it looks good, you're good. If it's something that actually requires quite a bit of changing, for example, if you add a turbocharger or change your fuel injectors or want to change fuel types, we do have retune options available for discounted prices that somebody can purchase. And in that case, they send their updates, I send an updated tune, and we go back through the process again to retune the car. Good question. Well, bottom line, both solutions do offer the ability to, retune a lot of the important tables of the car. Timing, fueling, throttle mapping, cam timing, things like that. All of the underlying base tables are available on both pieces of software. The difference that EcuTek offers is they offer some race ROM features, launch control, flat foot shifting, which I think OpenFlash does have. They also have custom inputs, they have custom tables, they have flex fuel, native flex fuel available, they have native boost control available, and one of my favorite new features they have is actually closed loop fueling. And to touch on that really briefly, basically, for whatever reason, Subaru or Toyota, when they program the ECU for the FRS BRZ, they set it up in a way where when you're driving around under normal conditions, the fueling is constantly trimming itself to maintain a fuel target. But when you go full throttle, it goes into a mode called open loop where it just kind of aims at a fuel target and just goes for it. If there's a MAF leak, if it's a turbo car and there's a boost leak, if there's anything causing the car to not hit its fuel targets, the ECU doesn't do any effort to try to maintain those targets. So the car may not run as consistently, it might run poorly, could even damage the engine. EcuTek brought us closed loop fuel control as a completely custom patch that's available and we use on every single car we tune. That in itself is one of the really valuable features, in my opinion, of going to EcuTek, even on a basic NA car over OpenFlash. Right, with OpenFlash, there's no flex fuel, so with EcuTek, you can hook up a flex fuel sensor, automatically have your car adjust the tune on the fly for different ethanol blends. You can also do forced induction very natively, meaning that you can have boost control with a boost controller, you can have boost limits, you can have engine safeties, you can bring in all kinds of custom sensors and tie them into anything you want. Whereas with the OpenFlash tablet, you're pretty much just basic tuning is all you can do.
So bottom line, the EcuTek Tuner is got tons of feature. It can grow with your build as you continue to build, because we're never done adding stuff to our car. The dongle plugs into OBD2, cable goes from here into the computer. You do your stuff there. It's very, very versatile. It is going to cost a little bit more than open flash, but in the long term, it's way, way more powerful. Now, if this video didn't answer all your questions, you still have questions, leave them in the comment section, or if it's very specific, send us an email at sales@ftspeed.com. I hope you learned all you need to know about EcuTek, and we're going to make another video about tuning the Supra coming soon. So I'll see you guys in the next video. A little bit more about that, but you just really are getting wow, I'm rambling. Still have after this video, feel free to send us a comment or a fucking